Mr. Huckabee, so your question was pinned on AI screeners when you're cold calling. For the rest
Yeah.
of the session, if it's cool, we can cover this and give some mind share onto this. Tell us, what's your problem, my bro?
Yeah, so right now I doesn't always happen, sometimes I get lucky. At least, I mean, like 80 make around like 80 calls a day, and I don't double dial anymore. Our dear friend at my sales coach convinced me to stop. Maybe like 25% AI screeners. And so I've been just saying like John calling for Neil, something like that. And then I switched to like John looking to learn. And one person answered, but they were kind of low level. And she told me she thought I was her doctor, which I thought was weird.
Okay.
And then the only success I've really seen, and something I'm kind of trying now, is we have an event that we're going to in like 6 weeks. So I've been saying like John Vegas just to like try and get through. And then I start the intro like, hey, just calling to see if you know if your team's going to Vegas in a couple weeks, whatever they say. And then like, well, I got you. And then kind of go into the pitch. Hasn't worked yet. I know it does work because it's worked in the past, but I understand like that's not really a solution. That's just like I'm kind of using something to my advantage to get them to answer, but it's not a long-term solution. So just curious to see what other people are saying. And I even like admittedly, there are times when I hit it and I just hang up. I'm like, I don't want to sit here for a minute and just be hung up on later. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So again, being transparent, because I don't really cold as much as
Mhm.
perhaps with our audience. I don't get hit with it as much. I've been on the receiving end of like AI receptionists when I'm phoning back people back up and stuff. But my only take on this is I see this more as like a visual voicemail. So
Mhm.
on iOS and other things, you can sometimes get a text message which gives a little bit of a transcription as to what was in the voicemail, and I consider that a visual voicemail. And with
Mhm.
iOS, if you have either emailed this person in the past or perhaps either sent them a text of some sort, I know the AI will put in something along the lines of perhaps John Huckabee is calling,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
with prospecting, you can build familiarity by those messages you send ahead of time before that call. The iOS will learn who you might be. And it does it on my,
Mhm.
my Samsung phone as well. If I have an
Yeah.
unsuspected number, it says it might be
Mm.
this person. But I look at a visual voicemail is I only want to transcribe like 10 seconds of that to see if it will let me through. So
Mhm.
it could be John calling from company name, working with or problem statement, 5 minute chat question mark. Hi John, Neil calling from Happy Selling, helping SDRs book 80% more meetings worth a chat question mark. That's it. So they kind of see it as like a text coming up and then they can take the
Mhm.
decision if they want to continue the conversation or not. And, they might still decline.
Yeah, yeah. But at least they could see it. That's good.
I don't believe in the transcript failed or the unethical.
That's that's a pass.
Yeah,
That's a pass.
because then you actually have that copy or like a
Forever.
timestamp, yeah, forever with that prospect, which could cause a little bit of trust issues. Or, even in that, in the visual voicemail, John tried to connect, you're probably busy. I'm going to send an email with rubber ducky.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've
And
done that one. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
I've been playing that one. I don't really expect them to answer, but yeah, that's a good one. But no, I like that a lot. It's leading with because it seems like so I ran the poll, right? And a lot of people just say John calling from UJet, but I'm assuming they must not be getting through, right? I have a belief that if a female calls, you're more likely to answer a female name than a guy's name, which I think the stats roll that out. Not I mean, it just is, right? I think it's a good or a bad thing. It just is. But a couple people chose business hook, and I was like, what business hook? Like, what, I need like a specific. So I like what you're saying. Like, we recently ran some numbers, and one of our customers is Mint Mobile, and we figured out we've saved them almost €1 million, which is over $1 million. And so I told the team, I was like, I would literally every call for the next 30 days. You answer the phone, you say, "Hey Neil, this is John from UJet. They didn't expect my call. I'm reaching out because we recently worked with Mint Mobile to save them over $1 million. Have you heard of them?" And in the US, they'll probably say yes. If they don't say yes, they're like, yeah, it's the one with Ryan Reynolds. You should always pay the
mhm,
same price forever. That one. And like they might like higher chance. I would say like if they're let's say 50% know it, 70% know who he is. The other 30% heard $1 million, right? So I think that's a really good one. I'm gonna start using that this week. Mint Mobile is obviously totally different than like a credit union, but
yeah.
logically, if we're saving this huge corporation £1 million, we're gonna save you $10,000, right? So that's a really good buy-in.